Hey there! Vampire Survivors is an incredibly simple game. You fight hordes of enemies, you level up, pick weapons and passives to fight through even more enemies in increasingly spectacular fashion. The gameplay is so simple, in fact, the only input during play is movement. Attacks are completely automatic, and yet this game is so incredibly popular, it sits at around 223,000 reviews at a score of overwhelmingly positive, with 98% of people recommending it. However, this video is not about Vampire Survivors. It's about the plethora of clones that try to capitalize on its immense success. Because it's not enough to simply copy a game's winning formula, you need to do something different to stand out. So in this video, I'm going to play a bunch of Vampire Survivor clones to see if any of them are doing anything cool. Note, I'm going to mainly focus on the more unique aspects of each game, as opposed to giving an in-depth review to every mechanic, otherwise each game section would be way too long. Nomad Survival, released on the 9th of October 2022. Sitting on a very positive review score, this was the Fox Nox's very first release on Steam, and has since made 2 more games with another game coming soon. From the gameplay, it looks fairly similar to Vampire Survivors. So what does this game do to try and set itself apart or improve on the genre? Let's start from the beginning. Character selection. In Vampire Survivors, a character has a unique passive, such as every X amount of levels you get a buff, and a starting weapon that is usually one of the weapons you can get during the game. In Nomad Survival, every character has a unique weapon specifically for them. You cannot get it during normal gameplay. And after picking a character, you also pick a heritage, which determine your passive. These passives can range from getting 2 rerolls every level up, to you dealing double damage but cannot heal, to all pets join you but you do not have a base weapon. You also have a selection of 5 pets that you can bring to a run, each focusing on different actions and buffs. For example, the fox can attack enemies, provide you with movement speed and evasion, while the raccoon, instead of attacking, will find chests, give you more coins, and provide a slow item magnet effect. These pets cannot die, so you are free to bring them along in a run. After picking a stage, you can add modifiers to a run, such as increasing enemy stats, decreasing your own, making bosses and events harder, or letting enemies have projectiles. These modifiers will increase the amount of gemstones you get, which are used in the game's pet system or additional stat upgrades. The game also features 2 challenges per stage, which further add restrictions and conditions to a level. These challenges are purely optional only for achievements and provide no advantage in their completion. When you launch a run, you may notice on the bottom left a whole host of empty boxes. These are for your weapons and passives. Instead of commonly limiting the amount of weapons and passives you can have, you are allowed to get every single passive and every single weapon. In fact, it is an achievement to do so. Whether or not this is a good idea to do is up to you. During a run, you may encounter a chest which contains relics. Relics are special passives for your weapons which can significantly boost their strength or effectiveness, and cannot be obtained any other way. You are also given an invocation, which are temporary boosts to your character, things such as a free level up, more rerolls, or full recovery. However, only the left are unlocked from the beginning, with the right needing to be unlocked in the upgrade menu. Each base weapon also has the ability to evolve at certain levels, which granted new abilities. You have a choice of 2 paths at level 30, then another further 2 paths depending on your previous choice at level 60. Overall, Nomad Survival is a pretty solid Vampire Survivors clone. There is a lot of variety here from the characters, passives, weapons, and abilities that will keep you playing for a while. Would recommend. Rogue Genesia, released on the 20th of September 2022. Sitting on very positive, this is developers Uwadi Huard's first and currently only game release. This game I would personally consider one of the more unique games of the Vampire Survivors genre, so let's start from the top. Avatars are the classes in this game, however rather than simply changing a passive or starting weapon, these characters essentially change the way you have to play. For example, the duelist has far less survivability than the base character, having less HP, regen, and even having negative defense in exchange for having significantly higher damage input. She also only has half the weapon slots compared to the base character at 4 instead of 8. Or we have the Gunslinger, which can have as many weapons as possible but can only fire 1 at a time and introduces ammo and reloading mechanics to every weapon. There are 7 characters to unlock and are done so by doing objectives and achievements in the game. Now the game is split into 2 modes, Rogues mode and Survivor mode. Survivor mode is more akin to a typical Vampire Survivors game, limited to a single area with continuous waves. However, Rogues mode, which is the base mode, plays out similarly to Slay the Spire. Before you launch a run, you have to pick a rank. These are the world/difficulties in this game, and are unlocked by simply beating the previous rank. You can add in corruption levels, which make the enemy stronger in exchange for more currency. And you can change your starting talent, which allow you to pick a starting weapon and attach a unique active attack on it. You can also equip 3 passives, all of which can be leveled up and upgraded through multiple runs to make them stronger. For example, I can start off with a katana, level it up, which increases the active ability's damage, while a passive talent, the multi-shot, which when leveled grants me more projectiles when I get a certain amount of levels up to a cap. Now upon starting a run, you are given the option of biomes, and once you pick one, you are treated to a Slay the Spire-esque map, with different paths containing different encounters. There are combat encounters that can have conditions on them, such as kill an amount of enemies, survive a certain amount of time, etc. Shop encounters, a reward encounter, and an unknown anything can happen encounter. Every region has a boss at the end with an anvil stage right before it to spend currency to upgrade your weapons. Gameplay remains relatively similar to Vampire Survivors, where attacks are automatic unless using the gunslinger avatar. However, a very big change is that while you have a limit to how many weapons you have, there is no limit to the amount of passive buff cards you can have. There are a significant amount of passive cards in this game, each affecting a particular stat or set of stats, such as defense, damage mitigation, movement speed, damage, range, etc, etc. And this game allows you to get to insane numbers. 1000% attack speed? Seems reasonable. 3000% critical damage? Sure, why not? This game allows you to go completely crazy with the upgrades, which is incredibly fun. Similarly to Nomad Survival, this game features artifacts which grant very unique passives, such as making the store have better items or a general stat boost, to incredibly risky ones such as multiplying your soul coin gain by 3 while adding in corruption and decreasing your damage mitigation significantly. Once you completed a run, whether by winning or losing, you're rewarded soul coin, which is this game's permanent currency, and it's used in the soul shop, and has a pretty comprehensive upgrading system, far more so than most other Survivor clones. New tiers are unlocked with the completion of higher rank runs, and contain normal upgrades such as damage, health, or rerolls, to new mechanics such as the ability to slow down time, or the ability to do hypercrits. Lastly, once you beat a rank, you unlock challenges. These are highly conditional runs that when completed unlock new shop upgrades, new weapons, or even events. Now, Rogue Genesia has a lot more stuff in it than what I've talked about, but this section would be way too long if I were to talk about each and every one of them. So we'll just leave it there. I personally think this game is pretty great, and would definitely recommend it. Also, this game is in early access, so there's still more content incoming. Spirit Hunters Infinite Horde, released on the 20th of June 2023, sitting on mostly positive, and this is the developers, Creature Cauldron's first and currently only game release, but has another game currently in development. Character selection has you pick from characters that each have a unique passive and an activated hero ability. These can range from turning into a bat and gaining lifesteal, summoning a vortex that deals damage, or infecting every enemy with poison. And similarly to Nomad Survival, you can pick from a starting weapon, and these weapons have a different synergy effect for each character. For example, Magnus gets more healing capabilities, Vivian focusing more on EXP gain, and Conrad focusing on more area of effect. You then get to pick from a variety of maps, each having different modifiers and reward multipliers, with additional difficulties and game speed modifiers. When you're ready, you can begin a run. Once again, this game plays the same way as Vampire Survivors. However, you can see your progress of the stage on the bottom of the screen, with the skulls denoting mini-bosses and the horned skull denoting the final boss. The progression of this game differs from Vampire Survivors in that you have to fill your weapon slots up to 4 first before you can start upgrading each individual weapon. Weapons can have multiple different upgrades, and you have a choice on which stat or path to focus on, for example, damage, cooldown, or attack size. Whatever you choose to pick, you will increase the overall level of a weapon. Reaching certain level thresholds on a weapon will allow you to transform it, granting an additional attack or effect. However, there is an overall level cap of 25, so you can't max out every upgrade path. During a run, you may encounter cages that, when unlocked, gives you a pet which grant you passives, and you can have a total of 5 of these active at any given time. Now, upon completion of a run, you will get several currencies that is used in this game's progression system. The Oracle Web is a large skill tree akin to something like Path of Exile. These upgrades range from unlocking new weapons, empowering their base stats, unlocking pets, generic stat upgrades, transformations of weapons, heroes, and stages. However, some nodes have conditions that need to be fulfilled before they can be unlocked. This will be your main progression of the game. Finally, Spirit Hunters also features challenges that require you to finish a map and aim for a specific build by the end of a run. For example, requiring 25 levels in spears, having a level 5 serpent pet, whilst not picking the scythe ability. These challenges are unique to each character and are required to unlock nodes in the Oracle Web. While Spirit Hunter's Infinite Horde is not as crazy as Rogue Genesia, and can get pretty repetitive, this game is still an okay Vampire Survivors clone. I wouldn't recommend you go out of your way to buy it, but if there's a sale, feel free to check it out. You'll probably get some decent hours on it. Yet another Zombie Survivors, released on the 14th of July 2023. This game sits on a very positive score, and the developers, Awesome Game Studio, have made several games prior, with this game being their latest. This game immediately differs from Vampire Survivors and other games in the video from the aesthetic, featuring a less cartoony 3D art style. Character selection has us pick from several different classes. They each have a unique base weapon with special abilities specific to them. These can be unlocked by leveling them up through runs. Next, we have to select the stage. Once you choose which one you want to do, you are given the option of a mode. In the beginning, you'll only have the default mode, which is to survive for a certain amount of time, but by winning in each subsequent mode, you will be able to further unlock Endless, survive as long as you can, Hardcore, a shorter but much harder experience, Extermination, a 20-wave survival, and One Hit, a 5-minute run where you lose in a single hit. Once you've made your selection, you can then choose a difficulty level, which affect enemy stats, EXP, and money gain, and we can also pick up to 4 badges, which are unlocked in this game's skill tree system, which I'll talk about later. These badges give us some additional passives for the run. The gameplay is much the same, but the game itself is played in 3D isometric view as opposed to top-down side-scroller-esque. During a run, you can get chests, which allow you to pick from several powerful passives, while leveling up grants you weapon upgrades. You can also get military training items, which, once you get 4, you can pick a more powerful stat upgrade. When you level up a weapon or an ability a certain amount of times, you can then evolve them. Abilities can only be evolved once, with a choice of 2 paths, while base survivor weapons have only one choice in their initial evolution, but when evolving them a second time, they then have 2 choices. Evolution adds in new effects, or change the focus of a weapon. For example, the katana can focus on an AoE around the player, or instead launch a powerful tornado-like projectile. Now in this game, you create a team of 2 other survivors, these being the other classes. You rescue them during a run, and once you recruit them, you will get a HP and EXP gain bonus. You don't have to recruit them now, or at all, as you can choose to liberate them instead and get an instant level up plus money. Also, when you get another member, stat upgrades need to be applied to a specific member who will get 100% of the effect, while the other members will get half of the effect. After they join your team, their weapons and abilities are now added to the upgrade pool. Note, weapon refers to the class's starting item denoted with a gun symbol, while ability is everything else and is denoted with a gear symbol. Each weapon and ability have a damage type, or tag associated with them. Ice, fire, chemical, electric, kinetic, slashing, and explosive. Every tag has an associated status effect, except explosive. And picking enough of a single tag will make those associated weapons stronger, and also granting a big passive once you reach a certain amount. Upon completion of a run, you get money, which is turned into general EXP, and specialization, which is the EXP for the classes that were present in a run. When you level up, you get skill points, which is used in the game's skill tree system. You have a general tab which give account-wide buffs, and specific tabs for each of your classes. Here you can upgrade their specific weapons and abilities and unlock new evolutions, unlock and upgrade badges, and unlock class synergies. For example, the engineer can unlock a synergy with the huntress, where enemies hit with his electrocution ability will be hit with a frost arrow. Yet another Zombie Survivors, while not terribly unique, it is very well polished. There are many items, weapons, classes, and abilities that doing multiple runs feel fun and different. This game is also still in early access and being updated. Crimson Dawn, released on the 12th of April 2023 and sits on a mixed review score. This is the developer's Purple Lake's first and possibly only ever release. Much of the player dissatisfaction referred to the game's lack of content, and the developer's supposed abandonment of the game shortly after release. Unfortunately, according to a developer message on the studio's Discord, they had simply run out of funding as the sales during early access and the 1.0 release was not enough to recoup the development costs, so keep that in mind. Now firstly, characters may have restrictions on what type of weapons they can use, either physical or magical. Characters have a unique passive, and they also have a small skill tree that allow for further buffs on specific weapons or overall stats. You can also equip any 2 weapons that have been unlocked to begin a run with. Each weapon also has a skill tree whereby unlocking the nodes in each level, upon leveling up the weapon during a run, they will also get those additional passives. Stage selection, other than the normal survive a certain amount of time objective, you can also select additional objectives that need to be accomplished before you can finish a run. Successfully completing them will reward you with new unlocks and more resources. A run plays the same, however, the additional objectives that you pick need to be done in order and completed one at a time, and certain objectives have a time limit. Leveling up lets you pick from either increasing base stats, leveling up one of your weapons, or picking up another weapon. Chests give you a choice of weapons or equipment that grant various buffs, such as a ring that can revive you or boots that create an icy trail. There's not a lot of equipment in this game, and it's possible to get most of them if not all of them during a run. After exhausting the list of equipment, chests grant resources or levels instead. This game isn't terrible by any means, but it severely lacks content, which unfortunately is due in part to the developer's financial situation. It's a shame this game ended the way it did, and I wish the developers luck on hopefully any future endeavors. Return to Abyss, released on the 7th of January 2023 and sits on a review score of mostly positive. The developers Windjoy Games have made 2 games before, with Return to Abyss being their most recent. Immediately, this game features a more Eastern art style and has a walkable hub area instead of just menus. NPCs have dialogue in this game that, at the very least, add a little bit of life to the world. This game's hub contains a mission board for quests to get resources, companion management that allows you to find recruited companions in a run to aid you, as well as being able to upgrade them for better support. Your permanent stat progression, a drink mixing minigame where you can mix ingredients to create a mixture that has buffs and debuffs for the next run, a store where you can purchase set ingredients, an airdrop supply where you can call in temporary buffs during a run, weapon supply table where you can turn on or off weapon and upgrade pots to limit the amount and type of upgrade you can get during a run, and of course character selection where you can read their lore, stats, see initial weapons, equip accessories, and see their attributes, which are a set of passives that unlock by increasing a character's influence, which is just experience. A nice touch is that unlocked characters appear in the hub and say a couple lines of dialogue. I know it's not much, but I thought it was pretty neat. During stage selection, there are different areas to choose from, with different enemies and stage hazards, as well as a difficulty. Gameplay remains relatively similar to Vampire Survivors, however upgrade progression differs. When leveling up, you can choose either a specific weapon buff or colored buff that affect the player. The colored buff will appear on top of the weapon card that you chose it for, and it will become important in a little bit. Chests, on the other hand, allow you to pick a new weapon, up to a total of 4. Weapons do have a limit of 6 normal upgrades and 3 colored upgrades, so pick carefully. You have a frenzy meter denoted by the flame on the left that fills up during a run. When it's full, you can go into frenzy mode, where you become stronger, faster, and if you level up during this time, you get 2 extra choices. This is temporary, and once it runs out, there's a cooldown before you can start filling it back up again. Now then, when you pick up a chest that is completely upgraded, it will take on a new form. This form is entirely dependent on the color combination of those buffs, and every weapon has multiple forms, and they completely buff the weapon in significant ways, from changing the element, big general upgrades to size, damage, projectile amount, etc., to even adding in new effects. Once a run is finished, you get currency to spend on permanent upgrades, unlocks, store items, etc. Overall, I think this game is pretty good. The weapons are interesting, there are a whole host of characters, and while it can become pretty chaotic with the hordes of enemies, the crazy weapons make mowing them down pretty satisfying. Would recommend. FatalZone, released on the 18th of September 2024, and currently sits on a mostly positive review score, however recent reviews are mixed. This is the studio Midhard's first game, however they currently have a second game in early access, Adrenaline Rampage. The game features a hub with multiple buildings, each providing a function of the game. First, we have a recruitment center where you have to recruit people of a certain class. You can have multiple of each, and it'll become clear as to why that is later. Every class has a unique passive, and each character starts off with a weapon and armor, the armor having different base stats. Characters can be permanently leveled up, which allow them to pick ranked passives at the gym, one in each row, and can be changed freely. Weapons and armor can be upgraded in the workshop and changed at will, however changing equipment will reset their level. There's also a HQ which keeps track of achievements, an infirmary where you can heal units, a market to exchange resources, and a gate for stage selection. Each building can be upgraded to provide stronger benefits, for example the recruitment center allowing for more potential recruits, HQ allowing for more space for units, or the market which will give better exchange rates. Once you're ready, you can go to the gate and pick a location and difficulty, which need to be beaten in order, and higher difficulties will make enemies stronger while giving you more resources. Gameplay is the same as the others, however the game introduces a new risk. If your recruited mercenary fails, they die, you lose them permanently. So there is a greater emphasis on survivability, as losing a character means all of the level ups they have gained are lost. However, there exists a mechanic where a helicopter will spawn at regular intervals to allow players who are in a losing situation to safely evacuate. However, early evacuation does not count towards map completion. At the end of a run, if a mercenary sustains damage for every 1000 points, they get a status ailment, which is a stat penalty, as well as a mutation, which are semi-permanent randomized effects, which can be beneficial or detrimental. You can remove both status ailments and mutations in the infirmary, which costs money. I think this game has some interesting ideas, but the main point of contention is that this game feels way more grindy than other games in the genre, with it having multiple resources that need to be manually obtained. However, the market does alleviate some of the grind. Overall, I think this is an okay Vampire Survivors clone. Whew. Those are 7 Vampire Survivor clones. Did you guys know of any of them? Let me know if you did, and if you liked them or not. I really do enjoy this genre. It's pretty addicting, and it's always interesting to see other developers' takes on it. It can be pretty hard to find a really unique game among all the clones, due to it being pretty simple, but it makes it all the more worth it when you do find something amazing. But I won't lie to you, it can get pretty repetitive. I don't really recommend playing Vampire Survivor type games back to back. Definitely play some other games in between. Now, I didn't cover the biggest ones like Hollow Cure or Deep Rock Galactic Survivor, just because I feel as though most people already know about them. That said, if you guys want, I can do a quick video where I go through their unique aspects. So if it's something you guys want to see, let me know in the comments. Also, I did my first stream on September 28th, around 2 PM Australian Eastern Standard Time. It was to 0 viewers, which is to be expected, but if you wanted to see me talk about a game with no editing, feel free to watch it. It's about 3.5 hours and I play Gunfire Reborn. Don't know if I'll ever have a streaming schedule, but if I ever do, it'll be around 1 to 2 PM Australian Standard Time. I'm trying to stream to both Twitch and YouTube, but there's a lot of stuff that goes behind the scenes, and I don't know if I can wrap my head around it. But you know, it's a pretty interesting journey so far. Anyways, if you stuck around this long, thank you so much for watching. Leave a like, sub, and comment, and I hope you have a good life.